The first part begins with a calm morning on Earth, a morning that feels normal and peaceful until something impossible happens in the sky. Without warning, the sky seems to crack open like shattered glass, and every major defense station around the planet detects a massive alien fleet moving straight toward Earth. This is not a small group or a scout ship, it is an enormous force, so large that it casts a shadow across the orbit and makes even the bravest soldiers feel a cold fear. At first, people try to convince themselves that this might be peaceful because humans have met friendly species before, but the shape and size of the fleet tell a different story. Then the aliens send a message that removes all doubt. Their words are cruel and full of arrogance, telling humans to surrender their world, kneel before them, and accept their power as if Earth is a toy for them to break. These aliens are from the Valkor Dominion, a brutal empire known for conquering planets by destroying their defenses and crushing their spirit. They think Earth will fall easily, just like the other worlds that failed to resist them. But instead of fear, their threat unites every nation on Earth in a way no crisis ever has before. Governments, armies, and space fleets lock into formation within minutes, knowing there is no room for hesitation. Among all the leaders and pilots who rise to defend the planet, one person stands out, Commander Lyra Hale. She is young for her role, but she has gained respect across the fleet because she has a habit of doing things people say are impossible. Some claim she is lucky, some say she is gifted, but what truly defines her is her refusal to back down when lives are at risk. She commands the UEF Aegis, a powerful cruiser positioned near the moon defense grid. When the first wave of the alien attack comes through, the moon's shields shake, stations take damage, and everything seems like it might collapse. But Lyra quickly takes command of the battlefield, pushing fear aside and giving strong, clear orders that remind everyone why she is trusted. Her words inspire courage, telling her troops they will defend Earth no matter the cost. The battle erupts around them, turning calm space into a violent storm of fire, explosions, and moving shadows. Alien ships pour into the area, confident they will break Earth's defenses in minutes. They expect humans to panic, scatter, or surrender. But the defenders fight harder with every passing second. Lasers, plasma shots, and missiles streak across the black sky, lighting up the darkness like daytime. Even though the enemy fleet is huge and powerful, every pilot, every gunner, and every commander refuses to give the aliens the victory they expect. The first part ends on the powerful realization that while the sky may have broken under the weight of the alien fleet, something else is breaking too. The enemy's belief that humans are weak. They came expecting easy victory, but instead they find resistance, determination, and a species that refuses to kneel. The stage is set for a massive battle, and the Valkor are about to learn that Earth is not a world that surrenders. It is a world that fights back with everything it has. The second part continues the battle in Earth's orbit, showing how the calm blue world below is now, surrounded by violent fire and chaos as the fight against the Valkor grows even more dangerous. The alien warships move through space like hungry beasts, firing powerful beams that tear through metal and shatter shields with ease, while human ships try their best to dodge, weave, and strike back despite being heavily outnumbered. The sky around the planet becomes a storm of explosions, flashing lights and drifting wreckage, with both sides losing ships, but the humans losing far more. At the heart of this fight is Commander Lyra Hale aboard the UEF Aegis, which is acting as a central anchor for the defensive line. Every member of the crew trusts her completely, because even when the situation looks hopeless, she stays focused, sharp, and brave. Her ship receives warnings from every direction: enemy cruisers on the sides, bombers diving in from above, and support ships struggling to keep formation. Lyra studies the battlefield with quick eyes, calling out orders that keep the EAs alive each time danger closes in. She commands her pilot to twist through a narrow pass between burning ships, tells her weapons officers when to fire plasma lances, and urges her engineers to push the shields harder even when the machinery is nearly overheated. In the middle of all this, the source of the enemy's confidence finally appears, a massive flagship known as the Dread Crown. It is larger than any vessel humanity has ever built, stretching across space like a dark metal mountain, pulsing with cruel red lights. Every time more Valkor ships are destroyed, the flagship releases new ones as if it carries endless reinforcements. Its presence alone turns the fight into something nearly impossible, and yet the humans do not back down. While the battle rages above, people on Earth watch from shelters and communication centers, hearing updates soaked in fear. They know the enemy is powerful, but they also know something important. Humans have a breaking point, and once crossed, they fight with even more fire. The leaders of Earth then send out a message to the invaders, a message loud enough to reach every ship in the alien fleet. The words warn the Valkor that Earth will not surrender, that if they continue this attack, they will face the full strength of humanity. The aliens mock this message, believing that humans are bluffing, believing that their numbers and weapons make them unstoppable. They cannot understand why Earth still fights when the odds seem impossible. But they are about to discover that humans do not fight only for survival, they fight for family, for home, for the promise of a future. As the Aegis destroys two enemy destroyers with a precise attack, the crew feels a spark of hope. Even though the fleet is outnumbered and the enemy ships keep coming, every small victory matters. Every alien ship that explodes proves that humanity is not as weak as the Valkor think. The second part ends with the tension rising, the stakes higher than ever, and the Dread Crown looming over the battlefield like a nightmare. The humans are battered and outmatched, but they continue to fight with fierce hearts, showing the first signs that the invaders may not be as invincible as they believe. The third part shows how the battle grows more painful and desperate as the hours pass, turning space into a graveyard of broken ships and fading lights while the defenders of Earth try to hold their position. The orbit is filled with smoke, debris, and floating metal from destroyed vessels, and everywhere soldiers fight with whatever strength they have left. The UEF Aegis, Lyra Hale's ship, becomes a main target for the Valkor forces because it is coordinating many of Earth's remaining defenses. As the enemy flagship, the Dread Crown, focuses its attention on the Aegis, a massive energy beam suddenly blasts across space and slams into the cruiser. The force of the hit throws Lyra across the bridge, making alarms and warning lights flash wildly while parts of the control panels burst into sparks. The crew shouts updates filled with fear, explaining that entire decks of the ship have been destroyed and that they cannot take another strike like that. Even with part of the ship torn apart, Lyra refuses to collapse under the pressure. She struggles to her feet through the pain in her leg and orders the crew to reroute power, repair what they can, and push the shields back up before the next enemy attack lands. Her calm voice helps the crew refocus, but the situation grows even darker when a new message appears on the communication screen. It announces that Station Aurora, one of Earth's largest orbital stations, has been destroyed with everyone inside. The bridge falls into a heavy silence as the reality sinks in. Many people on the Aegis had friends, family, and partners stationed there, and Lyra herself loses people she cared about. The weight of this loss presses down on everyone like a mountain. Lyra closes her eyes for a brief moment, not to escape the pain but to gather the strength to continue. Then she looks out at Earth, glowing softly below the battlefield, and her grief turns into something sharper and stronger. She speaks firmly, telling her crew that the enemy believes this tragedy will break their spirit, but instead it only fuels their determination. Humans, she reminds them, are not creatures who fall apart when hurt. They become more dangerous, more focused, and more willing to fight for what matters. Her words light a fire in the hearts of the soldiers around her. The engineers push harder to repair systems, the pilots steady their hands, and the gunners sharpen their aim, all of them driven by the shared belief that they must protect the world beneath them. The battle outside continues to rage, but the Aegis now fights with renewed strength, pushing back against the enemy waves. Part 3 ends on a powerful emotional shift, showing that the Valkyr attack has cost human lives, broken defenses, and taken beloved people, but it has also awakened something they did not expect. They came thinking fear would make humans surrender, but instead they discovered that pain has made the defenders fierce, united, and ready to push back harder than ever. The loss becomes the turning point that transforms the fight from survival into defiance, and the invaders begin to face a truth they were not prepared for. Humans do not bow under pressure, they rise. The fourth part begins with Earth's leaders realizing that their defenses will not last much longer, unless they take a bold and risky step. And from this urgency comes a plan that sounds almost impossible, but is the only chance left to save the planet. This plan, called Operation Iron Dawn, is built on one daring idea. Instead of fighting the Valkyr fleet from the outside, a small elite team will sneak into the heart of the massive enemy flagship, the Dread Crown, and destroy its core from within. If the core is destroyed, the entire enemy fleet will lose its main command system, and the invaders will be thrown into chaos. Everyone knows this mission is nearly a suicide run, but someone must take it, and the responsibility falls on Commander Lyra Halle, who has already proven that she can stay calm and strong when everyone else is losing hope. She selects her team carefully, choosing people she trusts with her life. Draven Cole, her quiet but unshakably loyal second in command, will handle tactical decisions. Mira Thorne, a brilliant engineer with quick hands and a mind full of creative solutions, will take care of the needed explosives. Jax Rowe, a fearless pilot who treats danger like a game, will handle the sharp maneuvers. And Row 7, a battle android with unmatched strength and precision, will provide extra protection. Each member knows the risk, but none hesitate. As the Aegis speeds toward the enemy flagship, space becomes a burning maze of enemy fire, explosions, and collapsing ships. Lyra stands at the helm, shouting clear orders as enemy cruisers surround them. She tells Jax to dive between two burning wrecks to avoid a deadly beam, orders Draven to push all power into the forward shields, and instructs Mira to prepare the breach charges even while the ship rocks violently. The Aegis pushes through wave after wave of enemy fire, moving with incredible control despite being battered from every direction. Every moment is a test of courage and timing, and several times it seems like the ship will break apart under the pressure, but they refuse to slow down. Finally, with one last desperate push, the Aegis slams its magnetic clamps onto the outer hull of the Dread Crown, locking itself in place. The sound of metal scraping against metal echoes through the ship, but everyone on board knows they have reached their destination. Lyra and her team strap on gear, load their weapons, and head toward the airlock. The atmosphere is tense, a mix of fear and determination. But Lyra steadies them with a simple, strong promise that they will do whatever it takes to protect Earth. The airlock opens with a hiss, revealing a dark, eerie tunnel inside the alien vessel. They step inside, and immediately the environment feels wrong. The walls seem to pulse faintly, as if the ship itself is alive, and a strange vibration runs through the floor under their boots. This unsettling setting is only the beginning, but the team moves forward with caution, ready for whatever comes next. The fourth part ends with the clear feeling that they are entering a nightmare, yet they continue without turning back. fully aware that the fate of their world depends on what they do next inside this giant living war machine. The fifth part follows Lyra and her team as they move deeper into the strange and frightening world inside the enemy flagship, discovering that the ship is not just a machine but something that feels alive, with walls that pulse like muscle and air that vibrates with a soft, steady heartbeat. Every step echoes through the dim, misty corridors, making it clear that the ship can sense their presence. The team stays close, their weapons ready, knowing danger could appear at any moment. Suddenly, without warning, alien warriors leap out from the darkness, tall and heavily armored, their glowing red eyes fixed on the intruders. The fight that follows is fast and brutal. Draven blocks a sharp blade with his arm shield and counters with a strike that stuns the alien in front of him. Mira tosses a shock grenade that explodes with a loud crack, throwing one warrior against the wall. Row 7 moves like a machine built for war, cutting down two enemies before they can react. Lyra fires precise shots that hit the weak points in the warrior's armor, guiding her team forward through the chaos. As they defeat wave after wave of attackers, they finally reach the massive central chamber where the ship's core is located. The core looks like a glowing sphere of energy, surrounded by pulsing tendrils that feed power into every part of the flagship. But before they can place their charges, they face the most dangerous enemy of all, High Marshal Vortic, the Valkor warlord who commands the entire invasion. He is huge, covered in thick armor that shines like dark steel, and his voice shakes the chamber when he speaks. He mocks the humans for daring to step into his domain, calling them foolish and weak. Lyra steps forward without fear, telling him that their world will never belong to him. Vortic roars and charges with incredible speed for someone his size, swinging a massive blade that tears into the floor. The fight that breaks out is more intense than anything they have faced so far. Draven and Row 7 try to hold Vortic back while Lyra moves around him, firing shots whenever she finds an opening. Mira climbs up the platform to reach the power conduits and begins planting explosive charges as quickly as she can, even though the chamber shakes every time Vortic slams his weapon into the ground. The warlord is unbelievably strong, knocking the team aside again and again. At one point, he grabs Lyra by the throat and lifts her off the ground, squeezing hard as he tells her that humans only delay the inevitable. Lyra struggles, but she refuses to let fear show. She kicks off his armor, twists free, and falls to the floor just as Mira's last charge activates before she expected. A sudden explosion rips through the side of the chamber, throwing Vortic off balance. The blast gives Lyra the opening she needs. She grabs a fallen alien blade, runs forward, and drives it deep into a weak spot in Vortic's armor. The warlord lets out a roar that shakes the chamber, then collapses. But the victory comes with danger. The ship begins to collapse around them as alarms scream through the halls, and the core grows unstable. Lyra shouts for everyone to run, and the team sprints through the dark corridors as the walls twist and spark, knowing they have only seconds before the entire flagship explodes. The fifth part ends with them racing back toward the docking area, carrying the weight of both victory and the terrible danger still closing in around them. The final part begins with the Aegis pulling away from the enemy flagship, just moments before the massive explosion tears the Dread Crown apart from the inside, filling space with a bright wave of white fire that blinds every sensor in the area. The shockwave spreads outward, hitting dozens of Valkor ships and disabling or damaging many of them because they depended on the flagship's command link. For the first time since the invasion began, the alien fleet begins to panic. They did not believe humans had the courage or ability to strike at their strongest point, and the destruction of their flagship shatters their confidence. On the Aegis, Lyra and her team return to the bridge, exhausted, bruised, and covered in dust, but alive, and the crew cheers the moment they see them. No one has time to rest, however, because the battlefield is still filled with alien ships. Even though many of them are disorganized, the fight is far from over. Lyra raises her head and gives the command to fire at will, and every surviving human ship, station, and fighter answers that order with fierce determination. They have lost much, but now they have a real chance to win. Across the sky, human ships unleash a storm of missiles, lasers, and plasma bursts, pushing the enemy back with renewed strength. Pilots shout battle cries, soldiers in damaged stations reload their weapons, and ground forces cheer as they watch the live feed of the battle turning in their favor. The message that echoes across Earth and every human vessel is simple and powerful. This is for everyone who fell. The remaining Valkor ships cannot hold the line, and one by one they begin to activate emergency warp drives, fleeing into distant space. Their retreat is desperate and chaotic, nothing like the orderly and proud arrival they once made. Humanity does not chase them, not because they fear them, but because the message has already been delivered through action rather than words. So much has been destroyed, and so many lives have been lost, but Earth still stands, shining under the sun as if watching over its protectors. Slowly, the fires fade from the edge of the atmosphere, and emergency teams begin the long task of searching for survivors among the ruined stations and damaged ships. Lyra stands on the bridge, looking at the planet below. Her eyes show exhaustion and sorrow, but also pride and strength. Draven walks to her side. Mira and Jox are being treated for their injuries, and Row 7 repairs its damaged metal plates with calm precision. Draven asks what the galaxy will think about what happened today, and Lyra answers with quiet confidence that the truth will spread everywhere. She says people will know that humans did not want war, but when war was forced on them, they fought with everything they had. She looks at Earth again, glowing blue and calm after hours of chaos, and she says that humans do not show their full strength unless they are given no other choice. The victory does not erase the pain of those who were lost, but it proves that humanity is not weak, not fragile, and not easy to defeat. As the sun rises over the planet, spreading golden light across the sky, it symbolizes a new beginning, a hard-won peace built by bravery, sacrifice, and unity. The story closes with the understanding that the galaxy has learned something important. Earth is not a world that bows to invaders, and humanity is a force capable of rising, fighting, and winning even when the odds seem impossible.